Hi, come on in. I'm John Tibbetts, and although we're earthbound today, we're going to be talking about manned spacecraft shortly because The Right Stuff, a lad company released through Warner Brothers, is all about manned space flight going all the way back to 1947. And gentlemen, please welcome, and I want to introduce you to my far right, of course, is Wally Schirra, Lance Henriksen, who portrays Wally Schirra in the film The Right Stuff. Nice to see you both, and I'm curious if you have had a chance to get to know each other during the filming, and how much of that acquaintance paid off then in the eventual film. Lance, you want to take that first?
We met yesterday. You met the first time.
I see.
Real time. This was Friday. Yeah.
Is this characteristic then generally across the board in the film, the actors and the astronauts?
No, I think Dennis Quaid met Gordo before he started filming. But I unfortunately only had tapes and film to work from and books.
Wally Schirra, newsmen, television journalists specifically in the film, are portrayed as people who clamber over fences and walls and poke through windows into your lives. And here I am sitting here. How typical has that kind of, well, harassment is what the film seems to be calling it. How typical has that?
Well, that was quite typical in those days. Oddly enough, what many people may not have seen, I have not seen the film The Right Stuff, by the way, but what people don't realize is our homes in Houston were all built with the backyard as an enclosed area. The front was almost opaque to the front street.
My goodness.
Because we anticipated that from our early days in Virginia.
Now, you're the only man to have flown all three missions. Gemini,
in
Mercury,
the space world,
and
I'm
Apollo.
unique, yes.
Indeed, and I'm also checking this is the first rendezvous of two-manned maneuverable spacecraft as well. Now, what has this meant to you as a celebrity, as a man personally, in the intervening years?
Well, since then, of course, I got in your business more than most people did. I sat on the left hand of Walter Cronkite. Now, not many people do that.
Now, does this mean that you're starting to clamber over walls yourself?
No, Walter and I sat and we did watch the launch and watch the flights, of course, from studios. I became a very close friend of Walter's. We still are close friends. Lovely man. He taught me to carry a pencil as you do.
There you go. Of course. There's a style to it. And especially when you quit smoking.
And then you say, this is the way it is. The man really was a good friend. I have done a number of television chores since then. And it's an interesting world. I found I was more comfortable in front of a camera than I was being chased around by reporters.
Lance, I find this is true sometimes. I at least am more comfortable on camera than off sometimes. As an actor, a person in showbiz now confronting an astronaut world, which do you think you would have been more comfortable with in comparing the two?
Well, there's two kinds off camera. This is real life off camera. And then there's off camera, you know, I can do it in a movie, but this is kind of different to be sitting here with Wally Schirra.
Let me address both of you with a question generally about The Right Stuff. It does seem so much like a Western. It does begin and end, after all, in the American Southwest. Astronauts and stunt pilots as individualists, maybe even loners. Do you see it that way? Do you see it as a Western?
No.
Not science fiction at all, but a Western.
I've not seen the film.
No, I don't.
I wouldn't portray that way.
Generally, yeah.
No.
In fact, if that's representation of the film, they've missed the train completely.
Yeah, no, it's not like that. It's
we were definitely team players. That's why you'll see individuals come out of, possibly it does in the film too, as I say, I haven't seen it. You'll see individuals come out of the pack. A lot of us who stayed in the program through it all were truly team players. When the team got too large to stay on the team, some of us went off to do other things. The concept of what an astronaut is a team player, not a loner.
Well, that's exactly what I felt doing it.
I was going to ask you if you saw any parallels between the whole team concept and an acting ensemble.
It is a team. The acting ensemble was so strong that way that we could tell how a guy was feeling when he came on the set that morning and what to do about it. It was, we encompassed each other pretty much. It was very much a team effort.
Something else the film seems to be saying is when the bottom line is reached, yes, you are involved in hurtling pieces of metal and scientific procedures, but the end result of it all is that you still have to function as an individual, whether you're in a rocket or whether you're in an airplane or a jet. Do you see that as is space travel for the individual, or is it for the team player?
I enjoyed the best part of coming back. Assuming many people ask the question, the typical line when I go somewhere is, what was it like to go to the moon? And I say, and come back. And they forget about that. Of course, the individual does want to live through the mission. And I think that's why I was a perfectionist about the role I played as a living astronaut. I very seriously wanted the thing to work right. but I also realized that, and I hate to use this team thing over and over again, I depended upon so many people to do these chores. And there were a lot of chores to be done. If that's, I'm sure that if you caught that, you've done a good job.
Oh, I did. I remember a tape I listened to of Wally in his flight, during his flight. And the first thing he did was thank everybody for putting this bear together. I remember that.
Yeah.
It was, and so the team effort was throughout the Mercury program, certainly.
So you had access then to materials in which you could study your role model.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely,
okay.
as much as I could get.
Was that more of a voluntary thing, or was that provided to you by the filmmakers?
You couldn't make a movie like this without doing that. I mean, I remember spending 12, 15 hours in a room listening to tapes and seeing videos and anything we could get on the whole program, because we didn't want to walk in there and not have a detail that was missing if we could possibly do it, you know.
If either of you had a chance to switch roles, would you become a film actor or give it a shot? Would you give it a shot to go up in orbit or something?
I'd ride on the shuttle, but I wouldn't have ridden the Mercury capsule, no.
As I look back at the Mercury, either way. It's pretty small. No, I don't think I'd want to be in the acting world. It's much like I wouldn't want to be in the political world. I deal with facts as an engineer and as something of a scientist. The transition's impossible. Fantasy in that sense, and that's what an actor has to do, is project some kind of fantasy to entertain. There are very few documentary films sell, I know that.
When you're up in space, to me the parallel with the Western might break down too, because you're so confined. This is a question I've always wanted to ask an astronaut. How do you deal with potential claustrophobia?
We were pre-selected, in the sense that we were, most of us at least, were fighter pilots.
But until it really happens, how do you know how you will react?
Is there any certainty? You evolve into being a fighter pilot. This is what I thought Tom Wolfe caught that quite well, ascending the pyramid. Some people go into transports, some go into fighters, and those who get into transports have lots of room, so they're not worried about claustrophobia. Those who get into the fighter world, if they can handle it, will stay in the fighter world. It's a very confined, small cockpit. Tom wrote a line I liked very much. We strap an airplane on.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And that means you're pre-selected then to deal with claustrophobia.
Up, Up and Away with Wally Schirra and Lance Henriksen, both of them starring in The Right Stuff, a lad company released through Warner Brothers. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Pleasure to be with you.
Thank
and
you.
best to both of you. This is John Tibbetts.